Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just reading a bit in the chat right now.
All right.
Keeping up. And so maybe we could talk about this sometime on your channel, Babs.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm banned from streaming for the next 3 months. I got hit by a ban, but I'm using my alternate channel right now, the Blue Lizard.
Okay.
What did they ban you for?
Hate speech.
Hate, of course they did.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried that I'm going to get shut down too. But
they banned me for harassment and bullying. I carried out no harassment or bullying, but I'm just that good. I don't even have to bully people to bully them.
Someone called bully hunters.
Yeah.
Someone called bully hunters, guys.
Oh, I've seen that. Was amazing. That was just what it was so mind-bogglingly cartoonish. I thought it was a parody at first. People said it was real, and I just didn't believe it when I watched it. I thought, no, it has to be a parody because it was so serious. It's like, now the bully hunter's gonna make him pay, and it's playing this dramatic music as a guy comes up in the what was it, Counter-Strike, in the Counter-Strike video game, and just shoots him. Like that's the whole point of the game, and that was supposed to be big and dramatic because we shot the bully. Like he was gonna get shot in the game anyways. What did you do differently? You didn't do anything.
Are you talking about
you didn't do anything?
We're talking about just some inane nonsense, nothing particularly important. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just told people in the chat that they can add me on Twitter if they like to. At Monad Active. So I also registered altworldview.blogspot.com the other day. Just one word, but I haven't put anything up there. I just wanted to have somewhere I can, if I talk about some like more philosophical subject, more like if I want to do a more in-depth video on some subject, it might be good to have maybe write an article to go along with it. And also if I disappear from YouTube or something, get shown. Just so. I guess I'll put up links to my YouTube videos there too, but I haven't done that yet. So,
yeah. Sorry, go on 1 second.
No,
I'm gonna. No, you were saying?
It's a delay.
Yeah, there's a delay.
Talk Babs.
Sorry. I think there's a delay on my end, but I was just saying I advertised the stream on my channel so more people can find it, and there are some people who might possibly be interested in joining. Is it all right if I send them the link if they are?
Sure.
All right, cool.
I guess we're not like talking really about anything in particular. We've just been bouncing around a bit.
I think that some of the comments from, I think Jonathan Fay, his name is, and guys in the chat should be read. I think that we should go over some of the comments as well as Twitter Veritas because there are some very interesting ones.
He often writes good comments, and both of them do. And then there's some new ages I think I haven't seen in my chat before. Yeah, I have. Did you have some?
Hold on. Whoa, the bully hunter thing was false. That's news to me. I was unaware of that. Is that true? Somebody look that up. Because I thought it was a real thing.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, Babs, did you have some particular comment you had in mind or something?
The exchange where Jonathan Fay was talking to guys and Ege says something along the lines of, "I don't. That's not an area that I really know what you're talking about," or something along those lines. It's a few comments ago. Hold on.
Okay. Let's see. Is it about the JQ and
no.
or is it before
It's
that?
not. It's before that. Hold on. Give me a second.
Oh, was it
Duvid should get
relating
in
to
here. It would be nice to get Duvid.
Yeah, he could join if he wants to. That would be
Hold on. Imagine.
If I may interject, I wanted to clarify a point. So, Aegis, I'm just gonna call you Aegis. I don't remember how to pronounce your.
If it's
guys.
German, if it's German, it should be hey guys.
No, it's Irish.
Okay, then maybe Geese. I don't know.
Mr. Geese. So you said that was a silly way of going about the question. Were you referring to me, or are you referring to Jonathan Fay? I'll try. If you were referring to me, I'll try to make it less silly and more serious. Ask it dramatically next time. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just see what people say. You guys could call me AI for short. Okay, AI. Or A. Okay.
Oh, so it was okay. So the bully hunters thing is apparently fake. That is interesting. I'm gonna look that up. Thank you for the information. That is very interesting. Crafty, cheeky little buggers.
Yeah, it would be fun to have Duvid in here. Have you listened to Duvid anything and seen him, Kaiter?
I've seen him a couple of times on Ford's stream. I'm not terribly familiar with him, but he seems like a nice person. He seems like an intelligent gentleman.
Yeah, and he's I don't know, is a bit like he has gone a bit back and forth with Luke, I think, because he kind of admits to, or it's not that he admits to it, he just says outright that Jews have this duplicit behavior, like depending on whether it's the in-group and the out-group and stuff like that, and there have been some, he's very honest, but at the same time, he seems a bit subversive also.
Yeah, I'm just tired of people talking about the same three subjects over and over again.
I think Duvid misrepresents kind of the traditional Hebrew view. His thoughts are very influenced by the diaspora, and I think that he is incapable of differentiating the indisputable truth of what the diasporic sages have said, compared to let's say
Jews like talking about Jews more than the most crazed and conspiratorial white nationalists.
Well, yeah, it's because it's your own history. You find it interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't mind that actually. As I've said earlier, I think it's the out-group hostility that is the problem, not the in-group preference. And I don't think it's good long term for like behavior. Some of the bad influences, it's not good for anyone in the long run. So that's why I don't like to phrase anything, everything as if it's about what is good, like what the Jews only ask what is good for us. I think it's more about certain attitudes and sentiments that have kind of developed through time. What do you think of that, Babs?
Well, what do you mean? I think Jews don't think what is good for us any more or less than any other average people from the Middle East or North Africa or Asia. I think that Europeans are rather unique in this capacity, but I think that in some ways Jews are less tribalistic and seem to have more out-group preference than, let's say, Arabs. So, or Arabs in West Asia. So I'm really not sure.
No, what I'm saying is just that I don't
Well,
think.
what do you mean?
That,
What,
I think you will,
I mean,
will
I think Jews
misunderstand.
don't think what is
You
good
won't
for us
understand
any
it
more or
correctly
less
if you
than
think
any
that
other
Jews
average people from the Middle
always
East or,
think what is good for the Jews. I don't.
Yeah, precisely. Well, I think that in a lot of instances, Jews are thinking Asia. I mean, I think you
Yeah, I
cannot
agree,
that
but it's
black
not-
people are thinking what's good for black people. You know, it's I preference than let's say
If
Arabs.
it was like a
So,
rational,
or
just
Arabs
what's
and-
good for us, and
Arabs
we
in
could
West
work
Asia.
together.
So I'm really not
think we could work something out. But I think because of like the history and
I think you will
stuff, there's developed certain attitudes in that Jews always that community which are bad for both
Yeah,
parts.
precisely.
Actually.
Well, I think that in a lot of instances,
Because of the in-group like identity, there's a certain out-group hostility that is too, and paranoia that is too, like it's destructive in the long run for everyone. I think, at least.
yeah, I largely agree. I think that it's almost like there's this sort of this sort of diasporic, cosmopolitan, multicultural, mimetic thing. To me, it's always never been really like the JQ. It's been like the multicultural question or the diaspora question or the minority question. And it's always been like, no, that probably this isn't the way, because I think that being in such a situation warps a people. It brings out the worst characteristics that were present in a lot of ways. Not necessarily, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about where there anyone about to join or.
Yes, I believe so.
I was just thinking about how much longer I should stream. If we have anything in particular to talk about.
Well, I actually had to.
Peter's about to join. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's good that he's about to join because I've got to take off. I didn't realize how late it was, and I have a bunch of other stuff I have to do. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you very much for having me on. It was a delight to talk to you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We'll talk in the future, I'm sure. And good luck with your future with your website.
And my misguided worldview.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe I could correct that.
It's going to be that way, is it?
But
hold on 1 second.
What's the goodbye equivalent to greetings and salutations?
I don't know. I haven't formulated one. I really should get on that. Let me think.
I bid you adieu.
Nah, that's too French. From virtue's blissful pass away, the double-tongued are sure to stray, and good forthright journey still, the mazy pass but lead to ill.
Dude, I've got one. Hold on 1 sec. Give. Oh man. Oh, he left. There's this other one. Life's a marketplace where all men meet, and death's an alleyway with many a crooked street. If life were merchandise which men could buy, the rich would live, the poor alone would die. And that's like inscribed on like this Masonic vase that my family has passed down from like since they were living in England, probably in the 1700s, maybe 1800s.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So hold on 1 second. I just sent the Hangout link to Peter. He should be in here in a second. Jonathan Fay asked if I'm reading the chat history, and yes, I am. That's why I've been a bit distracted. Hold on. I'm going to subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, I feel like I need some kind of input to get my brain going again.
Hold on. All the chats are like way scrolled up that are the ones that I wanted to read earlier on in the chat. Someone says that they hope I'm having a pleasant day, and I say thank you.
Yeah, I was having like a hard time keeping up with that at the same time. I was
same. Now all the messages that I wanted to address are all scrolled up, and I can't see them, so it doesn't matter. Someone says I'm a hoe in the chat. Hello, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. Good to see you. It's very good to see you. As a matter of fact, we should get together sometime soon. Let me know when you're around. Give me a call, sir. You should post the Hangout link in the chat, see if anyone wants to hop in. Because hold on, because Peter does, and for some reason the link I'm sending him isn't working. So if you could just get the link from the chat for a moment, that might not be nice. It might be interesting to let in the unwashed masses.
Yeah, and
they're probably better washed than us.
If it goes awry, I will just close.
Yeah, exactly. You're in control. You're in control. You can do this.
Just yeah, I often ask people to join, but most people don't want. Most people just want to ask things in the Spurg chat. So where the fuck do I have a link to that? Wait. But did you say the link you sent didn't work? Why?
I'm not sure. Perhaps it's on his end.
What I don't see the link that was there before. Or
no,
the
it's
address.
because I'm posted it on my channel as well. I'm posting this on my channel as well.
Okay. Let's see. I have sent the link. I'll just look in my Twitter history because I can. In the window with the Google Hangout, the address isn't there for some reason.
I have a new channel now for anyone who watched me for a while. It's called the Blue Lizard.
Yeah, I'm going to have to subscribe to that.
It's like the purple dragon.
Okay, so I'm just going to put the link here. So let's see. Oh, you can't write web addresses in the Wait. I just have to try this. I'm sorry about. Okay, so let's see. Does that work? Yeah, were there someone that wanted to join in the chat? Okay, so I'm just going to read what AI was saying. I don't think we said anything too interesting about physics. Jonathan Fay, just brought it up to disprove my inaccuracy with determinism. It says to you, Babs.
Then never mind. Perhaps I saw an interesting comment and I thought it, or something that I thought may have been more interesting or had something there that wasn't. I was only looking at them in passing on the side, and one of them caught my eye, or one or two comments, an exchange of comments between you two caught my eye. Anyway, Peter's trying to get in, but I think he's having some technical difficulties right now. I was recently talking on my channel. I had a pretty big discussion last night about capitalism and communism. I'm curious, what do you think of, well, not even necessarily capitalism and communism, but I'm curious to hear what you think of capitalism.
Are you asking me what I think about capitalism?
Yes, as sort of an from an ideological lens, sort of an ideological, like the ideology of capitalism, as it were.
Yeah, could you really talk about capitalism as an ideology?
Well, not really, but do you think capitalism is an ideology, or is it something that naturally arises? And do you think that, for instance, feudalism was a natural precursor to capitalism?
That's kind of hard to say. I think there's some things about capitalism that is some kind of foundation that is emergent from how people interact, but that's just it's very much dependent on like the state and institutions and enforcers of the law and stuff like that, and what's allowed to take place, like who's allowed to print money and all of that stuff. It's a very complex system, and I don't think there's one thing that you can call capitalism, really. But I do believe that a functioning society will have to have some kind of like market economics, at least internally. Like, yeah, I'm not ideologically committed when it comes to the economy. I think like the kind of global consumerist and the culture and the, like transnational corporations and private banks, all of those things I find very problematic.
How would you deal with such issues if you were governing a society? The issue of transnational corporations.
Yeah, it's very hard for like I live in Sweden, right? So we're like 9 million citizens. So we don't have that much power. It has to be addressed. It's like, I don't know, like when you do something about it, when probably some kind of crisis has to happen for, like, it's kind of this, this kind of capitalism, consumerism with all these corporations and stuff plugged into it, this self, like this automated monster in some kind of way, that it has its own life and it's not concerned about really what's good for anyone, but it gives incentives to people to sell out. And I don't know how we're going to take ourselves out of this situation, but this is not a system that it's destroying like the whole world, basically, I think.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I tend to agree that I just think that there's no real means by which this could be averted. As you say, it's the sort of monster that's been created and unleashed, and there's nothing that really can be done about it.
it's
Ride the tiger, I suppose.
It's very like interesting to think about in those, because you can see how something we gave rise to this by like having this these support structures. So having the state enforcing this kind of economy, and then opening up more and more for giving corporations more power and support structures. Now it's having the state enforcing this. It's like a monster that feeds this kind of economy, and then opening up more and more for giving corporations more power and the monster. Now it's and kind of keep it going. So it's like a monster that feeds or gives bribes to people that sell out. It is to very much like this living organism that is eating like parasitical system that is kind of destroying both culture and environment and everything.
Yeah. I mean,
I think, but it's
can't
such
say
a
I
complex
disagree.
system, so it's hard to get your head around it. Like,
exactly. Someone, hold on one second. Someone says in the chat, Jonathan Face says that empty space was the superposition of all things indiscriminately. And Quid Est Veritas says the chat is a tricky place to get into philosophical topics.
Yeah, it's
pithiness tends to win over how good the arguments are. Bog capitalism, TB.
The Spurg chat isn't the best place to like have philosophical discussions unless you kind of agree with each other. But it's hard to have an argument there with someone. But also, it's interesting how when you have the same certain people on, you always get into the same stuff, like because where your worldview kind of differs
Exactly. So you always end up hashing out those basic things. For me, it's always materialism with Kaiter. And for you, it's always materialism with Kaiter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also it's the whole his radical skeptical world view that is, I think, it's kind of an, I would call it a radical and maybe naive empiricism that doesn't make it. It kind of set certain standards for how theories should be to be good theories about how the world works, but the these standards the empiricism itself can't be investigated with its own and like living up to its own standards. It can't examine its own foundations, and that's what I find very. So you just get these assumed presuppositions that just it gets in there, and you can't investigate it with pure empiricism, and that's why I think it's very problematic. And I'm more.
Quid Veritas says this week on materialism with Kaiter.
So yeah, I guess we have talked about a lot of different things when we have talked. I think I'm because I'm open to discuss many different things, but with some people it's just that you have so different worldviews and it's because of that you don't really get anywhere on any other issues either.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It would be nice if he could come back and we could continue on some other topics, but he's probably got something to do. We should do another hangout sometime. And it would be nice if Peter could come in here, but I guess he's not available right now. Unless the chat has anything that they'd like us to go over in particular, or unless anyone would like to join. I haven't got anything in particular to say on this hangout. If you'd like, we can do a hangout on my channel in a bit. I would be open to that.
That would be,
if you want to join me there.
Yeah, that would probably be good. Then I could take a break for a while and something to drink.
Perfect, and then I could just sort of lead the conversation, and you could.
Yeah, and I don't know how long I'm going to be up for, so it's better that you are the one hosting.
Yeah, exactly. So then if you need to leave, so let's say, it's perfect. All right. So anyway, to anyone watching who's interested in a continuation of this conversation, wait, hold on. It would be nice if we could get Jonathan, Faye, and Ageis in here. If either of you are interested, is it all right if I extend the olive branch to them in terms of entering the chat?
You can invite anyone you want to your chat. Maybe not the old antinatalist from 2 years before. What?
What you don't miss Simon?
Yeah, Simon. Yeah. No. Yeah, but okay. So we'll. Right. I don't have that program. What's it called?
Did you use Deep Dream to make your profile picture, by the way?
Yeah. I did the deep. There's
Google
like
Deep Dream. Yeah.
There's 3 alternatives you have there. You can Deep Dream is. One of them where you can go deeper and deeper, but this is just some where you take 2 pictures and it kind of makes it one picture over with another one, like merges them. I've used a photo and then some kind of more cartoon picture, and it kind of made it in that style, made my photo into that style. So deep style, it's called, the thing you do.
Yeah, exactly. And there are many, many sub-variants of the different styles that you can choose.
Yeah, I used a picture I had on my computer. So, yeah,
it's a nice one. Deep Dream's a cool program. Someone said computer hallucinations. And that's basically what it is. Jonathan Fay, the way to go on a live stream, by the way, is to click that link above in the chat. If you're interested, feel free to do it if you'd like. Yeah, we're going to do the Great Migration, and my stream is going to be starting in about like 5 to 10 minutes. All right, so look for it on my channel. Here it comes.
Could you?
Or it's already started. It's already started. We're just migrate over there, basically.
Okay. Could you DM me the link on Twitter?
Yes, I will. See you soon.
Yeah, good. Right. And bye everyone else that was listening to this. And I had a hard time keeping up with the chat at the same time that I was talking to Kaiter and
I can't actually stay on for too long because I'm about to go to class, but I just wanted to make sure that like I didn't accidentally call the whole group and like the call was still active.
No, you're in the right place.
All right, sweet. Yeah, well, you guys have fun. Gotta get going.
All right. Well, nice. Thank you for stopping by. Hold on one second.
Yeah, it's a good
active.
By our hangout. We will see you all next time. So, Babs, do you want to email me the original?
Hold on just one second.
Lion?
Hold on just one second.
Yeah.
It's just a vectorized version of the Jerusalem flag, I think.
Your flag? Your lion?
Yes.
I don't think.
Give me one moment here.
Oh, you mean maybe the like the crest or something?
Yes, it is. Yeah, the crest, precisely.
Okay.
I'm sending Active Monad the link, but it doesn't seem like he's getting it.
Mm.
Hold on.
I will get a beer for this one. Do you know Thymos? You know Thymos, right?
Yeah, I've seen him in the chat.
Yeah. This is on my server. Halsey must have posted his ad on every server he's on, because every server I'm on with him, he posted his ad.
Halsey, yeah, Halsey's on a lot of Discord servers. That's true. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Yeah, I'm gonna post a link in Halsey's chat as well. I'm just gonna post this link everywhere. See who's gonna join. It would be interesting to see Active Monad and him together. European Advocate, if you'd like, you can join. I'm gonna post a link in the chat.
Halsey's on Creators, Fight Wing, Halsey, and Right Wing. With me.
Fight Wing.
Fight Wing is run by this Natasha and her husband, and I met her on his server. I'm on her server too. I did a video today.
Your sound is a bit poor
good.
quality.
How's my mic sound?
Halsey, hold on.
How's my mic sound?
Far away.
All right.
I said, hold on. Let me.
All right.
Let me
Well,
try something.
Active Monad is backing out on me now, so now it looks like it's just us. All right. Sorry about that. Look, I've lured the chat into what I promised would be a philosophical conversation with Active Monad, but is now me, Halsey, and AC. So I have also sent it to some Luke Ford people if they're interested in coming. You sound good.
Okay, good.
AC, say something.
I'm here.
Yeah, your sound is doing something bad. It's doing something unpleasant.
I'm probably garbled because I have too much open.
Yes, that is what's going on. Exactly. So anyway, there's this discussion going on tonight on Warski Live. I'm very much looking forward to hearing it.
Oh, this is going to be epic. Epic.
There will be blood.
Hold on just one second. Be right back.
Oh, I wouldn't expect to hear a lot of yelling and spurging out and silliness. Hello?
Huh? Yes. There will be blood.
It's probably not going to be super bloody. It's going to be very calm, I think.
Do you think? Yeah, I asked you about that.
About what?
You're not cool. You don't hate this. I'm surprised the Rebbe didn't want to get in with you.
Frame Game won't go in the same chat as the Rebbe.
Oh, you have issues with the Rebbe because I know the
No,
Rebbe.
me and the Rebbe are friends. Frame Games won't talk to the Rebbe.
Because that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I know that the Rebbe has huge issues with Frame Games.
They both have issues with each other, but they're not gonna. Neither one of them believes the other will be like an honest debate.
So they won't even do a blood sport.
No, because neither one of them are like screaming spurgs. Like neither one of them wants to spend the night yelling at each other, and both of them think that the other's arguments are shit. So
So I'm curious. someone in the chat asks exactly what's tonight's topic on Warski, and you think you could give a rundown on your thoughts on the conversation tonight?
Sure. I mean, we're addressing two main topics. I just want to read them word for word because it'll make it easier on everything. Give me one sec. What we had spoken about before is that we're speaking about a way forward and how the alt-right or the right or any of them, basically any kind of nationalist, not just a alt-right nationalist, that what is the JQ? Is the alt-right properly defining it? Do discussions convince normal white people to believe in white nationalist ideals? And is the wisdom about the Jewish question right? Correct.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see it is that there isn't the JQ is just sort of a subset of the diaspora question, and you can look at one specific people, the Hebrew people, but you can also look at many other peoples and see the example of the way that the diaspora has had a negative impact on and sort of brought out certain traits, certain civilizational traits that you might not necessarily want if you're looking at it from like a more reactionary or traditionalist perspective. That's just my take. I think that the JQ is kind of like seeing the trees for the forest, or seeing the seeing the forest for the trees. But yeah,
you know what a huge issue is, Babs? They're only asking the question about Jews. They're not asking. They sit there and they're like, oh, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. And then they give Hispanics a pass. Don't believe me? What's his name?
Listen, Analytical chick. I mean, I only have a couple minutes because the link will probably be coming through for me to join them soon. Okay. But I just want to. I hear what you're saying, but they're not the same thing. And the reason they're not the same thing is because the argument is that one holds the power and the other is more the pawn. So if you're asking a Jewish question, you say, why not the Hispanic question? They would immediately, and to some extent be right, to say that Hispanics don't hold any type of institutional power except for numbers. That's why the question is different. I'm not saying it makes the
answer. And you ask the Muslim question, all of a sudden it is a real question because Kaiter and Muslim Brotherhood have all this fuckery going on.
Again, they don't have institutional power. Yes, they have lobbying power. No, they have lobbying power. They don't have institutional power. You don't see hundreds of Muslims on the news every night. You don't see them, acting in movies. You don't see them, at the bank. Like, they're very rare unless you're in a certain area. I'm just saying this is how the question is framed.
Yeah.
I
think wow, you've really got the argument down pat, dude.
But most of the power that they complain about is lobbying power, which Muslims have a lot of it. I mean, Irish Catholics, who nobody really thinks of them as a separate group, but they've had a lot.
Also remember, they don't have a Muslim question because none of them really disagree on Muslims. There's no question of a problem or not. Like, they all would universally say it's a massive, huge problem, like most people will. They're not going to address a problem that everybody basically agrees on and they're just getting pushback for. This is not saying this is the Jewish problem. This is saying this is the Jewish question. And the question has always been, how far down the rabbit hole does it go? Is it just that they're very leftist? Is it just that they're part of a Marxist conspiracy? Is it that they go back thousands of years to subvert Christian society? All of these things are part of the question.
Well, why not ask the Irish Catholic question?
But they don't care about the Irish Catholic question.
Because they're a European group. As Jews are perceived as an exogenous, extra-European outgroup.
They also don't see that Irish Catholics work as a in-group. They're not a separate group. They're fully integrated into America. Like, their Irish roots go back to, like, most of them have never even thought of Ireland. Like, the furthest they go back is on St. Patrick's Day, they drink green beer. There's no connection. There's no tribal connection.
I mean, I know, like, that's what they would say, but, like, you know, a Jewish leftist who goes to a reform school, literally we have nothing in common with like an Orthodox. Even conservative Jews are generally also right-wing politically. Like,
Well, I can tell you this, you're on the right track.
right. But they don't want to listen to anything, and they're like little kids sticking their fingers in their ears going la, 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 la.
It's not that. It's that, remember, for how many years did people take like SJWs not seriously because they were just so ridiculous that the idea that any of this stuff would ever happen in America was so far-fetched that people said, why don't you just ignore them, they'll go away. You know, and now we have California about to pass a law banning books that could conceivably ban the sale of the Bible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the things that people usually, when someone says we're entering a slippery slope, there's some level of justification for it, and they're always written off by everybody else. They're always written off as just paranoid or looking for something stupid. And when all of a sudden they say, you know what, everybody said this was going to happen and it did, they want answers.
People
And
still say,
you know, I've done that before a long time ago, but I've done that before where I just said I'm not going to take the question seriously because there is no reason to. The reason to take the question seriously is because it can be answered. And nobody bothers to answer it. Everyone just gets offended that it's being asked. And that's literally 99% of the problem, because the people that are trained, that are actively trying to exploit this problem, they see that nobody cares about the answer, so they'll define it themselves. And that's more on the left than it is on the right.
yeah.
I think that's an interesting analysis. Again, like we have our own discussion about the diaspora, and we were having this going back and forth in DMs, and I think that this is something that you know, we can discuss this in our own chat, but I'm just really looking forward to the conversation
Well, because
tonight. I think
that's why I enjoy talking to you, because of how close you are. You're so close, it's scary almost.
That's how I feel about you.
Yeah, but yeah, you think I haven't thought like you before.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that you're so close and you're just not seeing it yet. And I'm hoping that after tonight you will.
Maybe that's the case. See, I'm very open to those sort of spurg arguments that people like Laughing Man tend to make, and people like Ryan Falk tend to make. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing
How
those
are those spurg arguments? They're very calm.
Well, that's what I mean is that they're very factual. They're very sort of data driven, purely sort of like, you know, stats and fact sheets and sort of polls and whatnot, and that sort of stuff really drives me. It really, when I see something like that generally, if I can see information like that generally kind of proves things to me more conclusively than one way or another. I'm prone to sort of thinking that in one way or another. Someone in the chat asks, "Is this Halsey?" The answer is yes. A guy says, "Those were some nice platitudes." If you'd like to elaborate, then by all means, go ahead.
What do you mean?
I don't know what he means by "those are some nice platitudes," but if he wants, he can go ahead. Someone said, "Imagine Luke Ford saying, la, 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 la." Yeah, I'm
Remember,
really looking forward.
I happen to like
Sorry.
Luke. I think I disagree with Luke on a lot of things, but I happen to really like Luke. So I don't come at Luke from a type of disrespect. Like Luke's one of the few people that I've insulted that I apologized and like felt actually bad about, because like I was just having a bad day and I said something really nasty about him. And I'm just saying that Luke is on the right track too. Luke has more of a knowledge base on a lot of this than most. So tuning into his analysis streams, which aren't blood sporty or adversarial much, is exploring the question a lot more than most people feel comfortable with, which I think pushes the envelope really, really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Luke Ford style conversations are great, and they really encapsulate what a lot of people get out of blood sports in the what a lot of people like in the blood sports without having it be particularly combative. It has the banter, it has the humor, and it has the sort of slightly sort of personal quality to it. But it also has the sort of kind of truth-driven analysis. I genuinely think that there are some people who just go in there to promote ideologies and to just push agendas into the Luke 4 chat, but I think that there are a lot of people there who are genuinely just there to explore the truth and promote love and kindness, as Luke says.
Yeah, but if they're too crazy, he kicks them out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that tends to happen, and generally, I'm not like a big
like a Warski live. If people just first off, the chat there goes like insanely fast. But if people start spurging out like even people super chat stuff that's like, you know, kill the Jews, gas the K's, you know, even that sort of thing. Like super chats, they'll be like, okay, I can't read that on the air. And it's more like I can't read that because my channel will get taken down. It's not even like, you know, and they're not banning anyone from the side chat for being a spurg. Whereas Luke is like, you know.
Have you ever been in Luke's chats? Luke's chats are like, I mean, in his chat box, I mean, the things I've been told, like, I mean, they're worse than anything I've seen on Warski, to be honest.
I don't agree.
You're seeing a more recent version. Like, Luke's chats have chilled quite a bit lately.
Oh, yeah. I think because he bans people who are too out of control.
No, he doesn't. I just think that a lot of people are asking a lot of different questions and they want to hear more. I think people realize that showing up and being assholes is just getting them yelled out because people are actually paying attention.
It's interesting. You know, I think that these conversations are just super productive. Not I mean, maybe of course I'm biased in thinking this, but not even. I'm just talking a lot of the conversations, not just on Warski Live, but on let's say Luke Ford's channel, just sort of around this general intellectual sphere. I think that I think it's good that these arguments are being made and being articulated from both perspectives, because it's bad that these things just generally go on in sort of like side chat boxes and comment sections and anonymous online forums and stuff like that. I think that's in YouTube comment sections. I think it's a shame. I think that generally everyone's argument, you know, if you've put thought into it, it should be done justice, and it should be given a chance to be aired and given a proper audience.
Depends. There's some arguments that aren't worth having.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true. Obviously there are, but I think that
I mean that more on
what
that.
You don't have a flat Earth debate?
No flat earthers, no chemtrails, no anti-vaxxers. but last night I didn't even realize it was the same person, but that guy Rodney that was on Luke's show, right? He's been like literally spamming my wall for like 2 weeks now, challenging me to a debate, which I said okay to at one point, but I said it'll be sometime this week after I'm done with this one. And all so if he wants to give a speech, let him give it. If it's something worth listening to, someone will tell me about it and I'll go listen to it. But I don't have to show up and be forced to listen to it under a guise of intellectual discussion. Did I lose you guys?
I'm here.
I think we lost Babs. Babs tends to be lost. Babs.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna have to jump out any minute.
Yeah, you gotta go anyway.
I'll go as soon as they send me the join link. They usually send it either like right on time or like a little bit after. But this is where you guys are going to be?
I don't know. Are we gonna be here?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, but where are we going afterwards? Just out of curiosity.
Or give me 1 second.
Why don't we can discuss it on Discord?
On Discord, sure, anywhere. We can do it on my channel if you'd like, or we can go on your channel. It's up to you.
I don't want to have to set it up. I don't want to have to set it up.
All right, perfect. Then let's do it on my channel. Awesome. I'm totally for it. I'm really looking forward to seeing tonight's chat. I think it's going to be fascinating. There will be blood, as it says. But I think that personally the best debates are the ones where there isn't too much blood and there isn't actually that much animus. And
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Sorry.
I literally cannot understand a word you're saying.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that I think some of the best discussions are the ones where there isn't even necessarily that much true blood or animus between the people talking. And I think that it's generally when people keep it on fairly friendly, slightly amicable terms behind the scenes, it's generally better. That's why I like talking to people like, let's say, I don't know, people who generally agree with me more. Like I was just talking to this guy, Kaiter Enless, who's this sort of materialist atheist.
I know.
Yeah.
I know who Kaiter is.
Yeah.
I'm on his server.
Okay, guys, I'm going to jump out any minute now.
All right.
Doing this. Okay.
Hello, Babs.
Awesome, dude. Looking forward to seeing you there. Hello, Active Monad.
Yeah.
Hi.
I don't know who's who. I only know what's his face, Babs. I guess I'm not the only one that calls you Babs too.
Yeah.
Your voice sounds really sparky or something. Yeah.
What do you mean sparky? Like I warp?
It's like it's like roboty but very fast.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a little bit staticky.
Yeah, that's probably the better.
Probably because I have too much open. Give me a sec.
Like I hear things in the background and okay, I hear myself echoing. Maybe it's maybe I didn't.
Ooh, Patrick and Active
window.
Monad are both here. Hold on, I want to get you two talking. That would be interesting. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
Okay.
Nice
What's
to be
up?
here. Nice to be here. How is everybody today?
Pretty good. Enjoying your reggae music?
Yes. Yes, actually I am.
You are?
Not right now. No, but
Perpetually enjoying reggae?
pretty much. So what's the topic of conversation?
Nothing in particular. I just wanted to get some sort of differing viewpoints together and see what ensues.
Yeah, and I
sorry,
didn't
go ahead,
hear.
bud.
I just want to say I didn't hear what you were talking about before I jumped in or anything.
Halsey's about to go on a debate on Warski Live tonight, and he's
Yeah,
going
I
to
heard
talk
that.
about-
There's a site called Watch Together. We should watch it on there. If we watch it and then like we can talk in like in a text chat on the bottom.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go myself in about
okay.
maybe like 30 minutes to an hour and do some errands, but I'll still be able to watch the stream, and I'll do a stream after the fact with Halsey reviewing it. But it's absolutely brilliant to have all you guys here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing this discussion. And
Who's the
yeah,
person
wow,
in
thank
the green? I don't know who this is.
This is Patrick.
Patrick.
Your voice is bad. Try resetting your computer, perhaps.
Okay.
Patrick, tell me what do you think of materialism? Are you a materialist?
Materialism as in like having a physical basis for reality?
Yeah.
I think yes and no. I mean, I think I think there's also a spiritual reality that the physical reality is an expression of. So I'm not like a complete materialist. Hello?
So you're not a complete materialist. Interesting. Talk about your liberalistism.
I'm not really wed to any particular ideology, but I will say that I just like what Sargon of Akkad has to say, and so that's just what I decided to call myself. But I could pretty much call myself just about anything. To really talk about my ideology, I really just have to talk about what I think on stuff. Active monad, what sort of what's your take on things? Like, what's your thing?
Like politically, or my worldview, like metaphysically. I guess it all kind of affects, or it's a kind of a total worldview. But I was talking earlier on my stream with Kaiter, and you know Kaiter Enless.
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay.
Kaiter.
Yeah, when we talk, we most often kind of comes to this point where our worldviews are like totally different. So it's everything kind of many things like falls on that when to get to something else. Like we always clash on his kind of more. I think he's a radical empiricist, and I'm more of a kind of more physicalist, materialist, and I'm more of a idealist when it comes to metaphysics. Like I see consciousness as more basic than matter.
Like a panpsychism, almost like where everything is conscious, everything has a consciousness.
No, not like that. If there's any label that fits my worldview, like I think it's panentheism, but I'm not panpsychism. No. I think that like every conscious being, like the conscious experience, is this integrated field of your total experience, where the like information from different senses and your thinking kind of creates this whole. And I think that there is no real foundation for this reality. Like this consciousness exists, and I don't see how you can put it in a materialist framework.
Yeah, I think I get an idea of what you're saying. I'd have to look more into it to get a fuller idea of what you're talking about. Welcome to the chat, Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, were we going to talk about something in particular?
I'm not sure. I know that Halsey and some other people having a big debate today.
I don't like Halsey's debate.
Yeah.
Where do you
Like
views differ from his, Monad?
What did you say, Babs?
Where do your views differ from his?
From Halsey's?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, his whole way of debating is I don't see him as like really being like straightforward and addressing the points. He's strawmanning and obfuscating and deflecting.
I think some of his deflections are pretty valid, though, because I mean, in a sense, I do understand what you're saying in the sense that he sometimes uses he uses like a slippery style of speaking almost, but the fact that it's like a little, the language he uses is a little bit slippery. I don't think that necessarily discredits all his points.
It's not really that. It's more that he, like when someone says, has some criticism of something that he wants to defend, he most of kind of attacks something. This is often when it comes to Israel or something, and kind of he goes in, he kind of takes it from there, and he like brings this to some side issue, like and not addressing the point that was being made. I think he does this a lot. Like he addresses something that is related, and some people might not be aware that he didn't address the point if you don't kind of focus on where the debate is about, what it's about.
I mean, have you noticed the way the alt-right debate, they change the subject all the time?
I don't know what the alt-right is a bit broad.
Circular arguments galore.
Well, I am alt-right, so, but I, like, there's
Wait,
many
it
people in
sounds
the
like you
alt-right
have an
that don't.
Israeli accent. Oh, no,
Okay.
that's a Russian accent, isn't it?
No, it's a Swedish accent.
Swedish, oh. Yeah,
Well, but the alt-right is too big anyway. It's like for to be, you can't really say the alt-right argues like this, I think, because like there's some. I think Mike Enoch is great on debating, for example.
yeah, Sweden's got a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to hear what you say because the static thing. Is it only me that's getting that?
No, I hear it too, but I can make out what she's saying.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard. I didn't get that last. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not exactly alt-right, but I'm sympathetic with the rights of people of like whatever ethnicity to be proud of who they are and to work to preserve themselves within society. But I wouldn't call myself alt-right.
Yeah, I think it's the best way. I like for if you look from a like total perspective, what's best for the world. I think it's best that people organize around like their natural identities, like ethnicity and stuff like that, and then it's easier to cooperate with each other if you have your own space, I think.
I don't have a problem with that side of
I agree with Monad on that.
right, but the problem stems from the fact that the alt-right makes everything the Jews' fault.
Well, and that's not. That it's some like I don't really think that's very representative of at least the intellectuals in the alt-right. I don't think they.
Who are the intellectuals in the alt-right?
I guess the most extreme person is when it comes to like blaming the Jews. It's maybe Eric Stryker, but
who are the intellectuals in the alt-right?
Like Mike Enoch is one of my favorite people.
Mike Enoch doesn't blame everything on the Jews. Really?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Really?
No, he doesn't.
The thing that Mike Enoch
There's a show called The Daily Show Up.
Yeah, it's a
All
joke because
it ever talks about is it's the Jews.
I think it's the Jews come up a lot because it's a necessary issue to be addressed. It's not that everything is. It's a necessary thing to address, but it's not sufficient.
Well, why is it necessary to address though? Like, why is it necessary to even like frame like Jews as the problem or the enemy? Because say if you want to reduce immigration in Sweden, all you really have to do is say we think that there should be less immigrants, and then just stay on that message.
Yeah,
like why does the Jews have to even be brought up? Like,
yeah, if you look like at the history of the people that have been pushing for immigration, and it's not just like that. It's only the Jews that have done it. It's that. They kind of keep our whole society because of the power they have through their media and institution and our culture. They kind of our whole debate and culture get kind of has gotten off balance, and by having these roles in like what's it called, like this kind of not gateway. They can kind of have these positions in society so they can keep things from being allowed to be said in the media and stuff like that. And I think that we can't have a dialogue among ourselves unless we address that issue also. And it's not an issue I will bring up with someone like who is just waking up to that there's a problem with the immigration. But I think among like this, like if you have a serious intellectual discussion of what has been allowed to be said and stuff like that, you have to address that issue, and that there is an interest that is I think that kind of against ours. Can't have a dialogue among
Yeah, I
ourselves.
respect your position on the
Unless we
issue, but
address that
I
issue
just
also.
have a different
And
take on
it's
it.
not an issue I will bring up.
I
with
do
someone,
disagree with
like,
you about
who is just waking up to that there's
some
a
fundamental stuff.
problem
What's your
with
take,
immigration.
Babylonian, on this whole thing?
But I think that
So far, I generally agree. For me, the way I see it is from my sort of own sort of Jewish Hebrew interest. Is I generally tend to go away. I'm anti-diaspora and I'm anti-assimilation because I think it makes us weak, and I'm against the concept of things like brain drain. I don't want even if, let's say, Jewish from the West did nothing but benefit the West, I still wouldn't like it because I don't think it would necessarily benefit the Jews. Benefit the Hebrew people. So far,
my position on this issue is I don't think the Jews actually have any power at all. And I think this is all just like a big illusion. But I mean, I respect people who would disagree with me. And the reason I say that is because
I'm against the concept of things like
I mean, people are talking about people who own media and broadcasting messages on the media. But I mean, all these people have to do is just turn off the television.
Nothing but benefit the West. I still wouldn't like it because I don't.
They don't want to pay attention to the media, you know. So.
Yeah, but how are you going to get people to do that?
Like, on this issue is I don't think.
Okay, of course, I never watch television.
I think this is all just like a big illusion.
I do Netflix, but I haven't watched like the mainstream media television channels for like 15 years or something. But how do you get everyone to disconnect from the propaganda? That's kind of without addressing underlying issues that make. Yeah, but how are you going to get people to keep the debate from happening? Okay, of course, I
don't know. I have no idea. You know, I mean, however you want to go about doing things, I totally respect. You know,
like
I just don't.
Like the mainstream media, like television channels. Everyone, like, of course, I've changed my worldview and stuff over time. Everyone to eat propaganda and how the world works and everything. I don't claim to know. Like, it's some things I think is undeniable, but of course, I have had a certain intellectual development, and I don't know, like, if I could have gone in some other direction and maybe never kind of bumped into this, or where I would be. I think I'm open, like I think I am open-minded enough to have. I would have seen problems with immigration and multiculturalism, and I think that. I don't know. I think the Jewish question is something that becomes visible if you try to analyze that. Yeah. But it's hard to like convince you. Just talk to you and convince you. You have to look into it to the best of your ability, and if you come to another conclusion, it's hard for me to change your view.
Well, I've been aware of like this question of who owns the media and all that for about 10 years now, and I just kind of got tired with it. In Israel, the way they address like the issue of like leftist infiltration is they just use the word leftist in Israel. That like if somebody is like doing that, because like, you know, obviously they're all Jews, so they don't have like, they're not able to call each other Jews is a thing, you know, so they just say there's like leftists, you know what I mean? So I think using the term leftist is probably the best strategy for. I don't think
the right is better really on most stuff, not in Sweden anyways. Like there's it's the one-dimensional like left-right divide. I think it's kind of useful to do sometimes when you speak, but it's also there's lots of problem with it. Both the left and the right agree on too much of the things that's the problems in our societies.
Yeah, I mean maybe there's some other word. There should be like some sort of word that like a political party can use to like describe these type of people who are trying to radically change.
All right, everybody. I'm sorry.
The problem is
I was just on
I think they decided more or less in the 70s, 60s, 70s, somewhere around there, that we were going to become multicultural, and then it has just accelerated since then. And because I think I had no problem with the social democracy that was before, but it kind of made us vulnerable because we relied too much on the state. So I see the problem like that. With the welfare state, and we let the state take away our rights to carry weapons and stuff like that, and then we were just accelerated since then, and because no one could do anything, like when the elites tried to started to, because it's only little in the beginning, it's few like immigrants, and then more and more and more, and then it's just propaganda all the time. If you say something against it, then you're a racist. And Swedes are very conformist generally, and they respect authority.
Yeah, I've noticed that one of the strategies of implementing statist totalitarianism is to promote individualism. And so what I think I noticed happening in Sweden is that they sort of eroded family structures and replaced the authority of the parents with the authority of the state.
Yeah, and it's become more and more like totalitarian, but people, maybe you heard the term soft totalitarianism.
Yeah.
The people aren't really even aware. I think that the kind of parliamentary democracy that we have in Sweden, combined with like this global capitalist system, is the system that almost makes us the most vulnerable to not realizing that we have lost control, and that the elites can do what they want, and take in immigrants and replace us more or less. Or I think they want to make us easier to rule over, basically.
Yeah, I think I think a major problem. I think one of the reasons why Sweden is receiving such an extreme level of immigration, I think, is partly because the Nazis had a fetish for like Northern Europeans. Like when you saw on those Nazi propaganda posters, they'd always show like a blonde farmer guy and his family, and they sort of idealize that.
Yeah, but it's Sweden. It's the worst among the Nordic countries also, because we have lived in peace for too long, I think, and been comfortable. We have become naive. So Denmark isn't at all. It's bad there too, but not at all as bad as it is in Sweden, with the political correctness and stuff like that. So I think it's, you go on.
Babylonian, are you still around? I don't know what happened.
He usually drops off.
Yes, I am. No, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Do you have any input on this?
Well, I've got several things to say, but I would also like to just let everyone know that the official stream has now started. The official Halsey versus McIntyre stream. So unless anyone has, Brexit Party is here. So unless anyone has anything particularly pressing to say, I'm going to be closing up the stream in probably the next 5 to 10 minutes. Does anyone have any remarks? Hello, Brexit.
Hello, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Pretty good. Finally, we found a time when we're both online.
Yeah, I watched your stream with my Enoch and Ryan Dawson and Halsey, and that was great, actually.
Yeah.
So you're closing up in 5 to 10 minutes. You've been going for a couple of hours already, right?
Yeah, I've been streaming. Between and I, we've been streaming for about 2-3 hours, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I heard the last I heard when I was trying to catch up with what you've been talking about. You're talking about the leaders of the alt-right and talking about Jews all the time and everything.
Yeah, that's what well, that's not what I was saying. That's what one of the people on my channel, Analytical chick, was saying. That's not my perspective. really.
Okay.
Or at least that's not really how I interpret things. Although, if you'd like to respond to anything that was said earlier in the call, please go ahead.
Yeah, and can I just add what I think that what I said was kind of correct, that it's a necessary question, but it's not the only question. Like that, it's one issue that has to be addressed. That's why I get why someone can get the impression that we're obsessed by talking about Jews and Jewish conspiracies.
So it's addressed to me, is it?
Yeah, I was just saying about that earlier, like because I was saying that, for example, Mike Enoch isn't obsessed only with Jews and blame only everything on them. So yeah, it was just related to that. So
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on the issue of Brexit?
Well, I mean, I talk about it all the time on the streams I've been trying to do, and for that. Trying to expose, well, talk about it at least. You know, I'm getting called a Jew and a shill and government agent and all of that, even though my channels have been crippled basically, and I can't do anything with them. You know, so it's funny, the ones who come out trying to talk about it the most, sometimes the ones who get called Jews and government shills, because apparently they're not getting censored enough. Apparently the police aren't visiting their house. So like if you're not having the police visit your house and arrest you and all that, then you're a Jew yourself. So, you know, so here in Britain, we have very strict censorship laws that, I mean, if any of you who are observing what's been going on lately with British politics and censorship, you'll have some clue. So, you know, it's talking about this kind of stuff that goes beyond the level of, say, what Count Dankula and others would tiptoe around, going straight into it. And really discussing it, apparently is not enough for a lot of these, or a lot of people who like to listen to this kind of stuff, but never reveal their own opinions or face or voice on stream themselves, but are happy to throw judgment at people that are trying to talk about this stuff that are getting censored and everything. So, you know, it's seemingly that in Britain you can talk endlessly about how bad Europeans and whites and British people are. But the minute you talk about Jews or Muslims, you know, you're hauled off to the gulag. So if that says anything about who is running our society, you know.
I think that has something to do with family power. I mean, like religious groups and social groups that prioritize family bonds above the state tend to dominate individualist societies where people place the authority of the state above the authority of the family. And I'm not necessarily saying that Jews or Muslims dominate Western society, but they are able to exercise a certain degree of influence because they prioritize their families more so than they are attached to state power. And so I do think that people from the Western world should, in a sense, model their own families on that and show primary loyalty to their own family and kin above that of the state.
I don't think we should, like, the problem is that we have a certain way that's natural for us to be in, like a certain way of living. And when it works great when we're a homogeneous population. But yeah, it's we the state we're in now, we kind of are off balance and we can't get back on track unless we deal with certain issues which are taboo to even talk about. So I don't I don't think it's natural for Northern Europeans to have like Semitic family structures, or like, if you understand what I mean.
What about, I think there was a time in Northern European history, though, where it did have quote unquote Semitic family structures. I mean, if Europeans had Semitic family structures, that nobody would even be talking about Jews, I don't think.
I think we're like,
there are Europeans who do in the East Mediterranean kind of have family structures that are somewhat similar to the family structures that are found in the Levant and West Asia.
Yeah, but I think like Swedish family, like the Swedish society has been different for a long time. So I think it's, yeah, I don't think the solution is to organize the society in a way that is yeah, I don't think you can sell that to the people if a new way of living that isn't natural to them at all. And it shouldn't have, of course, you have to do what you have to do, but I think that's the wrong way to go about it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that society's been taken out from under us, and people in America and Canada have to realize that the free speech laws here in Germany, France, and Britain, you know, Western Europe, are so much more stringent than in America and Canada. So, you know, when we're trying to talk about this stuff and we're being hauled off to prison, and then we're still being called shills for being hauled off to prison and getting our livelihoods taken away and our channels shut down, and still, oh yeah, people in the chat, like A. Jice, for example, saying, oh, we're shills and, you know, we're being exposed. What for? What? Talking the way things are and just being completely genuine. Like, if we can't speak openly about it and get shut down by the government themselves, and then when we try and talk about things in a way so that we won't get shut down, we're called shills by people who are listening, who are in no position for themselves to get shut down at all. You know, they're not willing to put their neck on the line, while continuously call people that are in countries that have a worse free speech laws than theirs shills. So it's like, well, okay, so we're stuck between a rock and a hard place in that sense. People that are actually trying to talk about the issue. So it's like that's why it's so difficult. So I'm getting taken down by people within the movement and people on YouTube. And so, okay, well, who's right then? I must be wrong on both sides, because everyone seems to think that they're right and no one else but them is wrong, you know?
Well, this is a problem with like thinking like in terms of individualism, because in the Western world, people don't really see past like their own selves, and so they're not thinking in terms of the group as a whole. And so if these critics were thinking more like holistically, thinking in terms of like the whole, they wouldn't be trying to drag you down, because they would realize that by doing that, they jeopardize the whole which they were themselves a part of. So, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with.
And some of them are trolls also.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. They're too like this individualistic attitude is where this whole troll culture comes from. They're not thinking of, they don't understand themselves as part of an organic whole. So.
But I think that like the people who aren't, yeah, I know that there are some people who just throws accusations around, like that person is an FBI agent and that person is a Jew or blah blah blah. Like, you have to ignore them and try to have a discussion with the people who doesn't behave like that.
Well, the thing of it is, it's difficult to ignore them because they're the ones that strike your videos and put legal claims on them, and then you end up having to block them, and then they make extra accounts. They do the same thing again. You know, so it's like, well, who is the worst enemy? You know, the government and YouTube, or the people just following you around like little, you know, pestering trolls? You know.
Yeah, it's the whole system, like it's a whole complex thing that it's hard to know how to, like, where you begin. But I don't know what you can do other than try to just continue to raise awareness, give people around you permission when they to take their own side and show that they are moral. Try to meet people where they are.
No, you guys were saying before that you want each group of people to have
that if a group seeks self-determination, I think they should present it to the public in a manner that is non-hostile to other groups. And so, like, I coined a word yesterday called distinctionism. Like, each group is distinct from every other group, and they have a right to self-determination and promote their own self-determination in a manner of mutual respect with other groups and so on. I mean, I'm sort of, I'm not really passionate about these issues, but that's just a suggestion that I have to people promoting these agendas. And I respect, you know, everybody's position. You know, I'm not like out to make people feel bad for how, like what their politics are, you know.
And I think we have to fight for our group. Like I respect other people doing for their group, but that's not really that much my concern. It's Europeans. I'm most concerned about. Like it's Sweden, of course. It's since I'm a Swede, I care about Sweden, but like Europe as a civilization, like and the people as a whole is what I'm most concerned about, I guess.
So, Hebrew, when you hear people saying we're going to remove all the Jews, what's your sentiment? What's your feeling on all that? Like, would you be happy
I
to
think
be?
it's perfectly logical. I don't care unless people are saying remove us from our own indigenous lands, in which case I won't stand for it for a second, and of course I'll naturally fight back. But I think that I don't think that any people have a right to live in a diasporic manner. There is no people that have a right to live anywhere they so please on the world. Things don't work like that. We don't live in that cosmopolitan fantasy where you can just pack up and live in the land of your dreams and desires, wherever you like the culture most and wherever you think that you can make the most money or wherever it's the most comfortable. I don't think that it's sensible to think in such a manner, and I think that instability is inevitable for those who do think that such a situation will eternally go on. An exogenous group can never really there's always something of a zero-sum nature of what's going on between, I guess, what you would describe as a host population and an exogenous population.
For example, have you had? Well, I don't want to steer off the track of what you intended the stream to be. Was there a specific thread that you're trying to keep it on?
No. I'm going through everything. We were just talking about the general topic that Halsey is going to be discussing with Jonathan McIntyre. And
so who is that? Who is McIntyre?
He's
What's his position?
LaughingMan0X. He's actually subscribed to my channel. He's he's sort of a Ryan Falk, Sean Last type. He's very data-driven, very statistics-driven, very factual, very intelligent.
So when you
They're actually less autistic, but yeah.
So when you say your indigenous lands, Hebrew, where are you referring to?
The Levant. Jew is an ethnonym for Judean, so I believe that Jews, nearly all Jews, can genetically trace their ancestry back to the sort of Levantine region. And in fact, if you actually look at the Middle Eastern component found in Jews today, it's pretty. It has a lot in common with genetic samples from the Bronze Age Levant, as well as from Christian Lebanese people, Druze, etc.
And the Ark of Titus proves that there was a historical Jewish presence in Israel.
Yeah. So would you support bringing all Jews back to that land, seeing that? Well,
yeah, that's generally part of one of my main beliefs is that I'm a repatriationist.
So you would support the 42% of the world's Jews that live in America to go to Israel?
Yes, absolutely.
And what about the? So you support the Greater Israel?
All of them, yes, all of them. Maybe if you
support
the Arab borders, or I don't know.
You support Greater Israel and Oded Yonan and all that?
It doesn't need to be Greater Israel. I want to coexist with other West Asian populations and be part of the broader West Asian family. And I don't even want to eclipse the entire Levant. I don't think that we need a huge swathe of land. We just need enough to survive and sustain ourselves. And I think
how much more land do you think?
I don't know. I'm not a statistician.
I'm not having a go at you.
No. I know you're not. I'm just thinking, like, I always wonder this, and I'm like, literally, I don't know how I would even go about trying to calculate. I mean, actually, I do. There are some ways that I could probably calculate it, but like, I'm not a statistician. I literally couldn't tell you. And I think that everyone who says, "Oh, there's no way that Jews could possibly do it on their own," people have an interest in pushing that worldview. Like, for instance, some people like the current status quo with aid and want America and Israel to have that sort of like very hand in glove relationship. And I personally, I'm like no, like we could survive without aid. And there are people who've argued that, like Jewish people, like for instance, Meir Kahane argued for it, and there are other sort of Jewish nationalist types who have argued for not having Western aid. I don't want to recreate the sort of diaspora parasitic dynamic. I really don't like that. But the way that I see it is like there are so many different people who say so many different things. Like the statistics show we'll be fine without aid. It's less than 10% of our GDP versus there's some people who are like, oh, you'll be totally destroyed for whatever reason. And I mean, I really can't figure it out myself. So but from my sort of very romantic, very idealistic perspective, in an ideal world, I would have the only land that I would really want us to have is the land that historically, we really developed and that we're sort of integral to our backstory, to our ancestry, places where there are probably skeletons of our ancestors buried, in places where you can find artifacts that have ancient Hebrew and Paleo-Hebrew writing on them and whatnot. And I don't want to colonize the entire Middle East. I don't like that dynamic.
So you don't support international Jewry, and you would denounce dual citizenship for Jews in other countries and just have them all be in Israel instead?
Sorry, hold on one second.
Okay.
Are you there, Babs?
Hello. Hey, sorry. What did you just ask? My bad.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, so you don't support international Jewry, and you would prefer all Jews to drop their dual citizenship and just live in Israel?
Yeah, I mean, that's my preference, obviously. This is like in an ideal world scenario. Not many people would like to give up the comforts of, the West, but that's from my perspective of, I think, what's best for my people and what's best in the world. That's what I would support. I'm just going to, yeah, sorry. I'm going to be back in 1 second.
Okay.
What do you think about that position, Brexit?
Oh, well, I mean, just my streams, well, my channel has been trying to headache over this whole notion for 49 streams, and now it's getting to the point of separation in the narrative. For example, there's this general overtone of one white race, and that we've all worked together somehow to evict the Jew, and I asked them, where are you going to send them all? And okay, some people want to send them to Israel, but at the same time, they don't support the Great Israel Project or breaking up the Middle East with the State of Israel being there. So they don't support the State of Israel existing, but they want to evict all the Jews. So where are they going to put them? And
why not send them over here to America?
Yeah, because then the Americans say, no, we want them out as well. So it's like, well, where are they going to go? You can't even agree on where to put the overall enemy. So,
well, I don't like. I live in America. I live in the United States, and I don't think the United States has a historical basis for claiming itself to be any sort of white ethno state. And so, but as far as European countries, that's none of my business. So if you guys over in England or Britain or whatever wanted to have your ethno state, or over in Sweden, and if you guys sent like Jews over here, like I wouldn't care. If you want Britain for the British, that's your business, or Sweden for the Swedes. So I wouldn't care if you guys sent them over here.
I think probably the most important thing is to be able to talk about the issue, that there are different groups with different interests. That's the problem right now, that there's this group that kind of skews everything in society in a certain way, and I think we are getting like kept off balance by not being able to have this debate. So if we could talk about it, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just wanted to quickly respond to what Brexit was saying, and I wanted to say, you don't have to support some sort of...
You're outside.
Yeah. You don't have to...
Got a lot of wind.
Sorry, you don't have to support some sort of expansionist situation, nor do you have to support a neocon agenda in order to support the idea of let's say, an indigenous Hebrew sort of self-determined polity, or other polities for indigenous peoples in West Asia, like, for instance, a Kurdish or Assyrian autonomous region or polity.
So what would be the other option?
I think you just cut out there. I think I don't know.
What's the other option? Well, I mean, the other option would be to have us sort of dispersed in a state, in a polity where we're not the majority in the Arab world, or just sort of dispersed across the Arab world, which I don't think is good. You know, I think that historically we've seen that there's a reason why so many Assyrians. There's a reason why so many Assyrians and Jews from Mizrahi Jews and Sephardic Jews, and Kurds and Lebanese Christians, Phoenicians, as they sometimes like to ancestrally identify themselves. There's a reason why so many of them have ended up in places like the West, in America and England. It's because they were not doing well, and they were not thriving in a lot of these sort of Arab majority multicultural states where it's like you have the Arabs on top and you have all the other minorities there sort of on.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair, because this is precisely what the point of sort of the whole self-determination thing is trying to avoid. Why would you wish that on other people, unless you are just sort of trying to spite them, which in which case it makes sense.
Do you consider all Jews in the same ethnic group?
I consider them to have a shared ancestry from the same group, and they've diverged over the course of the past few years.
Okay. I could go a lot deeper into that question, but I'll just leave it at that.
I think you can't plan like too far ahead. Okay, you're roboty, Babs. But I think that it's hard to plan these things too far ahead. You have to, like, first you have to be able to talk about it somehow. And I think like the future developments kind of will present the alternatives of how you are going to solve certain issues. I don't have like I think it's very hard in general to have any like strict plans for the future of exactly how our society is going to be. Like, we know what problems there is, and we have to talk about that and see what the future presents as possibilities. I think I would support Jews going to Israel, of course, but if that would be a possibility.
So is there kind of two divided factions amongst the Jewish world? Are you aware to that level, Hebrew? There
are more than two, but yeah, I guess there's generally sort of like I'd say that there's a crossover. It's sort of like event like diaspora. There's land, sort of land based, and then there's the spectrum of people who have certain qualities of both ideologies, or us both having sort of self-determining and having a diaspora.
And would you say that these two major factions are kind of warring it out to say, no, some of us want to go to Israel, some of you want to stay international and just stay in the US?
I think that there are also factions it's really nuanced. I'd say that there are certain people who agree with both in a way, and then there are certain people who agree with neither.
You're cutting out.
Sorry, I was just saying there are people who both, who are in the medium, who are sort of hypocritical, quite honestly, who are also playing a part in this discourse, I would say, and that group is quite large as well.
Okay.
I think I have to go to sleep, so I'm going to, or I'll probably watch the Warski for a bit and then go to sleep. But
all right, awesome. Sounds like a plan. I'm probably going to do the same. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And the hangout's going to run for a little bit, and then it'll shut off by itself. As long as there are people in this room, though, it's going to be broadcasting. So if anyone wants to stay in here and talk about anything until I get back home and switch it off, they're totally free to. I'm going to log out for now. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. And if you want to, all right, awesome.
More stuff.